Maybe you're going through menopause.
I think that's what it is.
Okay, so on that note, welcome to the podcast. I'm Brendan Lee. I'm here with John. We are going to generalize here, and you caught us in the middle of something, and John's like, press record, please, right away. So I'm like, okay, yes, sir. Push record button. We're generalizing, so you people out there, please do not take this as some statement of ultimate truth. We are nerding out. You caught us mid-nerd, okay? And it's
And
take it, please, only as considerations, maybe for your entertainment, but I am not trying to put anything on this that's like this is true. Okay? So we're about to dig into a whole bunch of speculation. All right? Go ahead. Wait, do we need to give people backstory here?
I think we just need to keep going, and then we'll fill them in as we like. We're talking about anxiety. We're talking about relationships, which we seem to talk about a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And you
And
were
and
talking
apparently women have higher levels of anxiety and depression than men
on average.
on average. And you were about to say why, and I'm like, go ahead, do your thing. You're
All right, my thing is this is kind of like a little bit this is like a recurring theme. I think that this is cross cultural and this is biological. Uh,
yeah.
so I think that it has to do with women needing fundamentally. I think it has to do with women being wired up to take care of helpless infants. I think that is what
Please
it really
explain.
has.
And
Well,
I go ahead, explain. And I'm already ready to fight. I'm
yeah, fight.
already ready to challenge, but no, and what I mean by challenge is simply come from a different perspective,
Okay.
not not to shut down the explanation that you're about to give, but to consider that explanation from a different perspective, perhaps. Something like that. So go ahead.
Sure.
Why is it that women being wired up to take care of infants creates depression and anxiety?
Well, infants are are little and they're helpless, and you need to be ready to defend this thing from not just big threats like the things that like you think of cavemen thinking about like tigers and bears and stuff. Um, but you've really got to be ready to take care of every little thing, toxins, and very small dangers that you and I wouldn't think of as being a big deal. But to an
Right.
infant, they are a big
And a
deal.
mom needs to know that
And
shit
a mom needs to be on high alert all the time. And
to
she's all
fulfill that function.
to fulfill that function in a way that um, even dads we don't really do. And I think that's the main thing. I think that women uh, to promote the species need to be oriented towards taking care of minutia in a way that the rest of us just don't do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing. Also,
Okay. Yeah,
being
go
being
ahead.
physically smaller, you've just got to be on higher alert for various kinds of dangers.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I agree with this hypothesis. I agree with your reasoning.
Hmm.
I get that.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okie dokie. And and then what? Like, John, you're right, but
Well, there is a but it's like it's a but that I don't know about. It's a but that I'm not sure about. Or no, not it's not that I'm not sure. It's more like, for example, I was talking to somebody and they were having like I know somebody whose intimate partner So it's a man-woman partnership, marriage, and one side, the guy side, he will talk about what shit that he wants that's big.
Mm,
Like, I want a 200-acre ranch.
mm,
And his partner immediately, the wife, starts freaking out about that because in her mind, as soon as he says, I want this and this, she goes, well, what about this? And then what about this? And then what about this? And this could happen, 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 and this could happen. And then blah, 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 short circuit. What the fuck? How come you can be thinking about such a thing? Like, I'm thinking about real life, and you're over here thinking about a 200-acre ranch, and like, blah, 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 blah. And so digging in right away from my perspective, I'm like, let the man have his fucking dreams. Why aren't you trying to figure out ways to see if that can work? Why the like that's okay? That's my reaction. That is my reaction. Okay, take the reaction out because that's fucking irrelevant. My bullshit, right? The fact of the matter is, in her mind, if this is true, she is concentrating on all of these what ifs and is driving her nuts.
yeah.
And then we have your explanation, which I agree with. Your explanation seems valid. Scientific studies show that women are wired up a certain way to focus in these areas. And but as if it's but and maybe what about this possibility?
Mm,
Somebody, and in this case a woman, but anybody, if you don't do that shit with your mind, you don't get anxious.
mm,
And then I hear that, yeah, but if I didn't do that, somebody would get hurt. I'm like, well, how about instead of going to a bunch of potential problems and freaking out about it, you go and analyze potential problems with a calm mind?
mm.
Like I would try to do to the best of my ability in fighting. I'm like, I've got to be on point. Danger is imminent. I'm going to relate to that.
Yeah.
Let's take the fear out. What's wrong with that? And again, I am totally in agreement with you and the whatever. I'm assuming this is some kind of scientific research, or that
I'm
people have
not.
done
I'm not.
studies and blah blah blah.
Yeah. It's layman's listening to experts talking about experts.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And my
And
personal experience with relating to people.
yeah, and so there's this constant fear. That like that's anxiety is fear. It's a
Yeah, it's
fear-based
fear.
reaction. It's like
It's
low-grade fear that keeps going.
yeah, it keeps going, and it's about stuff that you can't really take a concrete action on, or you don't think you can take a concrete action on that will
Yeah.
solve the issue. It's like it's never fully addressed.
Yeah, it doesn't like quote resolve. I mean, that's the experience on the surface level.
Hmm.
That's what most people would accept as anxiety, but if you actually if you the royal you, if you whoever, if you want,
Hmm.
it is possible to look into the shit in a way that makes a difference. And what I mean is that discovering how the anxiety is constructed, because okay, I think this is my frustration is like, yes, even though I agree with your scientific argument,
Yeah.
scientific, like here's the proof, here's why, say, women or even men are like that, but in this case we're talking about women, generalizing again, don't forget I'm generalizing. It takes people off the hook. And it's a
Yeah.
valid reason. I'm not saying the reason's not valid, but then what people do is think that they can't fucking change it,
Right.
as far as I can tell. And I'm like, what if you could? Like, if I'm an anxious person and somebody said, hey, what if you could have that stop, would you say yes? What if that's actually possible? I don't think anybody's like looking at that possibility. Like, yeah, I can analyze the shit out of a room. Doesn't mean I need to get anxious about it. As if and the science, and again, I'm not poo-pooing science, but it's like the science, then because I'm this way and I have a scientific explanation, and then I go, that's the end of the story. That means I can't do anything about it. And I'm getting heated because it's not it's not allowing people the reality of the power that they can have.
Yeah,
which is they
it doesn't.
could stop it. I've seen that shit happen. I've done that shit. It is possible for a human being to have a circumstance where they normally experience fear, and then they have the same circumstance and they don't experience fear anymore. And so this, like, that's the place where I'm fighting. It's not the fact of the anxiety. It's not the against your argument. It's against the thought that people can't control their mind, because they could. And I'm sure a woman could, you know, because we're fucking people. And that's where I'm like, God, fucking.
Right.
And I've seen, like for example, drawing on another example, in here in a contemplation intensive, which you should come do, by the way. Links, go navigate. There was a woman in a contemplation intensive talking about, like, finally starting to notice that what she was doing in her mind was causing the stress she was experiencing. Does that make sense?
I think what you're saying is that
like yeah.
people, I was going to be flippant, but yeah, you're saying that basically the scientific studies may be very valid when they're talking about generalities.
Totally valid, not
and totally valid,
science.
and
I'm fucking on board with...
and completely unhelpful when you want to make personal transformations in your life.
Yeah, if you believe the fucking, like, oh, because science says, that means it's not possible. Science gets shit wrong all the time. Well, I don't know about all the time, but just look at science from 100 years ago and science today, and look at the conclusions they drew from the work they did, and then they go, oh wait, what we concluded there before was wrong. I'm sure that happens. Another story, example, like for my own self, doing contemplation intensives, eventually, over time, I would be working and then realize I would go through these moods. I would go through this emotional shit. And then I would, like, I see this because, anyway, done a lot of work. I'm in one mode of contemplation. Oh, everything's great, and da-da-da-da-da. And then I keep contemplating, and which is, okay, for those of you out there, if you don't know, contemplation is like an investigation in the nature of reality. So I'm working on, like, well, who am I really? I know that sounds fucking weird if you're inundated with this work, but just do some research. Who am I? Okay, I'm contemplating like this. Okay, yes, life is good, and da-da-da. I'm right there. And then my mood changes, and I'm having a fucking shitloads of anger and pain. And then I keep contemplating, I start fantasizing, then I keep contemplating, and then I'm back to, like, oh, everything is good. And then I keep going through these, like, modes, if you will, cycles. And after I cycle about 100 fucking times, and I'm in the same room, and nothing's changed about my environment, I start to get, wait a minute, maybe the cause of my emotions is me. Yeah, but science says I'm programmed to da-da-da-da-da. If you stand on that excuse, you'll never grasp for yourself who's in charge of your fucking emotions. And anxiety is like an emotion deal. It happens because of what you do with your fucking mind. Now, like, you can't, it's hard to see that. And so what I'm saying with the discovery is, like, finally I start to get, wait a minute, I have a fucking wait a minute moment. Like, oh, my emotions might have something to do with me and what I'm doing. No shit. Fucking A. And then people are going, yeah, but science It's like, yeah, but you're not accounting for the person.
Okay.
Oh!
Um, and how do you feel right
I'm heated.
now? Hey, but we were talking about this, and you were talking about, a lady who's experiencing anxiety around
Right,
the
right, right.
ranch,
Okay.
and then you consulted with another woman, and she said, of course she feels that way. She's a woman. So
Yes.
I think, like, when you're looking at these kind of studies, when you're talking about generalizations,
Yeah.
there is a utility for them in the way that you conduct your life. And if you're talking about your personal transformation and your personal self mastery and creating the life that you want for yourself, thinking of yourself as okay, well, I have this because I'm a man or a woman, or I'm 6 feet tall, or anything like
Right.
that,
Like we could
is
put that in a
is
category of victim of circumstance.
yeah, it's generally victim of circumstance kind of behavior. I could see exceptions. Like, let's be practical. If
Yeah.
you're 4 feet tall, you probably don't have a career in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be like, well, it's victim of certain. No, actually, it's just really fucking hard to be in the NBA,
Yeah.
period, and
Yeah.
especially if you're
If you're
4 feet
4 feet
tall.
tall, it ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's
Unless
let's
they
be
make a league of like 5 foot under or something like
which they do. I mean, I'm sure there's, that
that.
probably exists. I've seen like midget or dwarf boxing.
Okay.
It was amazing. Anyway, but like, generally speaking, if you're talking about your personal transformation, then thinking of yourself as a man, as a woman, as a this, as a that. I don't have the ability because X. I don't have
Yeah.
the ability because Y. That's going to have very limited utility and possibly be very detrimental.
Right.
However, when you're thinking about large groups of people, if you want to do policy stuff like that on like a political level or something,
Yeah.
like, or if you're selling insurance for like cars, guess what? Insurance for young men is more expensive than other people.
Yeah.
Why?
You know
Because on
what?
average, men are going to be more aggressive and foolhardy. And
Fucking
you
idiots.
and the insurance companies don't say, listen up, gentlemen. You need to master your emotions. All that aggression and impulsivity, no, you got to get control of that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go around trying to control other people, especially in large groups, based upon the reality of their true agency, because it doesn't roll out that way. And
Yeah.
when you're first meeting people and interacting with people, I was in sales for a long time. You're in a kind of sales. You know what? Stereotypes are useful, and
Yeah,
they're
there is a reason that why they're I know. Oh,
right.
I can hear the pushback already in my mind. Anyway, it's
Well,
like
they're
stereotypes are there because of
they're
something.
true as often in the breach as they are in following, the stereotype, but they're still there for a reason. And
Yeah.
like, when I was saying in some previous things, like, especially in anything remotely feeling like an intimate relationship, or even just like a casual kind of friendship relationship or something, I don't relate to women the same way I do to men.
Yeah.
I just don't. And
Yeah.
when it drops down to like a real like, I'm in a serious relationship. When it drops down to, okay, how are we going to get shit done at the end of the day? My partner, she is a free agent. She has ultimate authority over how she's going to conduct her life, and I do mine, and I treat her as an equal in that way.
Yeah.
And but, like, I make allowances for our differences, and some of that is just due to the fact that she's a woman and I'm a man.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm trying to say is, I think what you specialize in is not in general big picture, let's do data analysis and research.
No.
What your specialty is you. And I don't mean you, I mean like the person listening. It's you as a person. It's looking the person in the eye and getting, that they have agency, that
Yeah.
they have authority, that they have the ability to get who they are, what they are, and how their mind works, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess yeah, I'm looking into like my heatedness or my enthusiasm and noticing that perhaps I'm sure I have stuff that is I want, like if somebody is afraid all the time, I don't want them to be afraid.
Yeah.
If somebody and like cuz I give a shit. I want them to not experience that suffering that they're experiencing, and if I have intimate knowledge in a sense and understand the real source of that, sometimes I want to push people in that direction. I'm sorry.
I don't want you to suffer. I'm sorry. I
I'm
don't want you
sorry
to
for
suffer.
not wanting for like wanting you to
I,
have a
I want you
more
to have a better time. I'm
sorry
sorry.
for trying to like have you stare at the uncomfortable reality that you're the one who's causing your emotions.
It
Now,
causes me pain that you're in so much pain.
yeah.
Please, 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 please be happier so that
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
like, could you just be
hurting someone.
happy and fucking all that stuff that you say you want to get? Could you go get that for me? I mean, I'd appreciate it. That'd be great for
What do you
you.
think the relationship is? What is it for you? Because I think there's a balance, but like two extremes, right?
Right.
Like as far as helping yourself or other people transform in any way. On the one hand, you've got the kind of Sarah Ness, um, authentic relating, circling style, which is like we are like you know what, whatever comes up for you, like you fucking you've got serious problems. Let's get in touch with those serious problems and see if we can appreciate them. It's like actually like dropping into
Yeah.
whatever's going on and actually loving the person the way they are, so much so that in their own time, in their own way, they may sort
Yeah.
of
I
transform.
mean,
That's one side. And then the other side is like Zen master with a stick. Stop that. Like lightning bolt, like crack the stone, like wake up now. You're the one doing it. End this nonsense. and and I see
so,
like two
right.
different sides, and I feel like they're both strategies for transformation, but like on like taken to an extreme. On one end is like transform now, get it done, you can do it, just go there. And on
Yeah.
the other end is like maximum love and acceptance to the point that I don't even care if you transform or not. I just love you so much, and just the fact of that love sometimes facilitates transformation
Yeah.
naturally.
And so what's the
My
consideration?
question is do you see that do you see those two things as strategies, and
I
do
mean,
you
right.
do you find that you gravitate towards one or the other of those professionally when you're doing your work,
Oh.
and or even in your own life, you know? Because I've heard you talk to me about both sides in your own way, I think.
Yeah. I mean, what immediately I get into the nitty gritty of, okay, now we've entered the domain of like pulling myself out. What's more effective? I hear that as a
Mm,
question in the background. Like, what's the best way to go? And in terms of being effective, as I've learned via Peter in my own training and looking into the matter and working on it, is like effectiveness is relational, and we're talking about specifically getting relational with how to assist people in transforming. Now, whether people transform or not is ultimately irrelevant. And then so the question might be on the table, well, what works best? And so that really depends,
hmm
because when there's a relationship in terms of being effective, effectiveness is determined by one, like what are we going for? What's the goal? What are we trying to accomplish? And then what are the factors that are actually there that we need to deal with? Is somebody here totally closed off and unwilling to transform? Cool. Well, they're not going to transform. Why? Well, first off, they're not willing. So then willingness becomes a thing. Now, what
mm
works best to get an unwilling person willing? Really depends on the person. So, in terms of in this thought experiment, and I'm making a thought experiment, what works best, a loving approach or a destructive one? I think there's more to the story than just what works best because of one factors like willingness, the person's openness, and the person's consciousness or awareness of their own experience.
Yeah.
Some people, I mean, I have discovered crap about myself that I never knew was there until I did. And there's no way really in a sense to like force that. The other person has to discover things that allow them either the power that they want or not. And how do you do that? Like what works best? That's really there's this what I think I keep dancing around is I see that there's an unknown element.
Mm.
The element that is outside of my control. If I'm working with something, there's the other person again.
Mm-hmm.
There's them. And I can't control a person. Like yes, I could manipulate people. I could do stuff to like touch what they have going on that will automatically come up if I represent a certain circumstance to somebody. I could touch them and maybe get a reaction and thus control them, but ultimately it's their mind, the way they've got it built that has those automatic things come up. And then what if you run into somebody who can have automatic shit come up in their mind, but they take totally different action anyway?
Can you give me an example of that?
Like, I don't know, maybe you got a special forces dude that's got to go into a house. He's experiencing a shitload of fear, but he's going in that fucking house.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what he feels. It doesn't matter what he or she, I don't think there's any women in special forces, but I'm just saying, or, other that's one example.
Yeah.
Or like somebody who has mastered their mind. Like I wanted to bring this into the conversation. There's, I heard, I used to live in Hawaii back in the day. I went to train over at BJ Penn's place in Hawaii. I did some Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's where I first started learning and got beat up a lot, which is great. Started to get strong. And, but they talked about, I think BJ went diving with a woman who did snorkeling or free diving or something like that. And in snorkeling or in free diving, you go in the water and they're like, calm your mind. Why? Because you can stay underwater longer. You don't need as much oxygen. You calm yourself down. And he's like, oh, that could work really well with Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Or I see fighters, when they go into fight mode, their mind state changes. They're like, okay, it's go time. Like, let's go. Their mind changes. They switch modes. And so there's this evidence of things that people do to control their mind. Or like I was just on a podcast with this guy who was an ex-professional baseball player, and his other friend who played for the Colorado Rockies, who's now in Houston, and then this other guy, Ray Negron, who's like a big name in baseball. So like 3 professional athletes, and they talk about getting up to the plate. And when they get up to the plate, they're saying like, yeah, if you watch every top professional athlete, they'll do something on their way up to the plate to, like what they said, get their mind right. And that is, again, like, I'm going to settle in here. Boom. And now do something. All right. But why did I bring this up? Go ahead.
I don't know. I was trying to tie that in. It feels like an answer to a question I didn't quite ask, but it's fascinating because I think.
But you
talking
originally
about,
asked me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to. So I identified basically 2 ideas because we're talking about personal transformation.
Right.
And we're talking about how personal transformation is different than looking at, reality through a scientific study and data analysis and stuff like this. Men and women are different on average, blah, blah, blah. And so on a personal, but when it comes to personal transformation,
yeah.
Then we were talking about confronting people directly, you said through destruction or through love.
Right.
And there's no perfect answer to that because it's relational, because it's what's most effective, and that's very particular in the moment. And what I hear is you saying top professionals, what are they doing? They're confronting the reality of the situation where it's always relational. And to do that, they've got to get their mind right, because they've got to make that
So you
judgment
can
call
see
in the moment.
in my explanation, you can see, and also probably watching my content and also watching the stock that I came from, looking at Ralston, we obviously tend towards, or I obviously tend towards the stick and direct confrontation and like, let's get it done quickly.
Mhm.
Now, does that work all the time? No. Does love work? Sure. Do, I think in order to be really effective, I think generally speaking, you need to have the ability to do both, and then you apply as needed to the
Yeah.
situation and balance between the two. And again, like my approach, obviously, it will not work for everything and won't work for everybody. And I know that. And I think I have stories about why I have my approach.
Curious about that.
I'm impatient. And because I'm impatient, I can't do the other one. Oh no. And I want
Hmm.
people to change, God damn it. You see, and I'm realizing that probably also embedded in my antics here is probably some of my agenda of wanting a different world because
Hmm.
I think it would be better.
Hmm.
And I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
And I can see the distress that I have around that and the, you know, huh, huh, huh.
Yeah. Wanting a different world.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, back to where, how we doing?
I don't know. I was just kind of
I guess. Well, okay, maybe way back. Yeah, because I'm noticing now, like way back. You remember way back at the beginning, and we were talking about, um, it's like the female mind challenges. Now, maybe females are wired up that way, and I'm sure they are. Like, just they need to pay attention to a whole different world, and is radically different than the quote male world. Now, I know there's some variation. We are speaking in generalities here, and I guess I'm. What about the possibility of still having the skills to navigate life effectively and to handle all the little things that come up without the fear
well,
or without the anxiety or without the, but man, no, I can already see I can't fucking talk because I don't live in a world. I got this once but only briefly, where when I walk in a parking lot, I'm not worried about getting beat and raped. I'm just not.
hmm.
Women live that.
Yeah.
And like, so yeah, I guess maybe at some point I should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and you've got your own things too. And like
Yeah.
our our emotional ups and downs, our upsets, our insecurities, I don't know anyone who doesn't have some of that.
Yeah, everybody's got that. Like, here we go. We can rag on people's image of a spiritual teacher or guru
Hmm.
or the image of the perfect teacher as if that exists like the enlightened guru. Yeah, maybe the dude's enlightened, but he could still be fucked up or she could still be fucked up. What do you think? I don't have a mind? I don't have problems? No.
um with the relationship that I'm in, so I'm in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
Um I have noticed that my partner, uh, she does get more emotional than me in general. She is more sensitive than I am in general.
Yeah.
And it sometimes takes her longer to work through it than I would like, but not a lot longer. And I feel like I can be patient with her because she's patient with me too about my stuff.
Right.
And also, I she has a style that I can handle. The
Yeah.
way that she deals with her shit, even when I've seen her as freaked out as possible, um, she does not get aggressive. She does not get um, controlling or manipulative.
Yeah.
She withdraws a little, somewhat. She excuses herself from the vicinity if it's not appropriate, and she cries.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, for some people, they might not know how to deal with that. For me, this is just my style because of my, I don't know, my makeup and history, whatever. But I can deal with that because I want to go to her and comfort her and see what's going on and just, work it out.
Yeah.
If she was going to nag on me and get aggressive with me or try to be controlling, that would raise my hackles and cause tension.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't work for me. Um and so I don't think it's just about people's experience of their anxiety or their pain or what's going with them. It's also how they express it and how they act it out in
Yeah,
their
like
life.
how people relate to their experience in a sense. Like if I'm experiencing fear, how do I relate to the fear?
Yeah.
I can actually have a relationship with fear that is different
Mhm.
than the quote norm. Or I might feel anger, but how am I
Yeah.
relating to my own anger?
And the relationship might be automatic and trained, and you might not have a lot of choice around it, or it might be very, very you might be very conscious around it. Like with my relationship, she does that, but she's not very good with confrontation.
Yeah.
I can't depend on her to help me like in a
Like,
negotiation,
let's go to
like a
war,
tough
babe.
negotiation. Yeah, let's
Go
go
to
to war.
war. Mm.
No, that's going to be on me
Yeah.
to do that part. Whereas but she does own her feelings really, really well, and she doesn't
Yeah.
put it on other people that other people are the cause of her emotions. I've never seen her do that. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about that special forces guy. He might be able to charge into a building and disregard his fear. But he may be
Yeah.
disregarding other emotions in his life where that works extremely well in emergency situation, but it doesn't work so well with his wife and kids.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So just because somebody's showing up in a weird way in one aspect, that may be actually useful for them in another context. This
Totally.
woman who's freaking out about the ranch, she may have a profession, a job, something where it's her job to worry about every little detail.
Right. Well, that's funny you bring that up because that is exactly what I heard from somebody. Was like, you don't realize I do this for a living, and I've been doing
Hmm.
this for a living for a long time. It's like, so yeah, so the brain is wired up to go down those roads. Well, like if this changes here, it's like, like I have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, yeah, I want to acknowledge that for sure. Like
Mm.
what I train my mind to do, it does,
Mm.
and it does a damn good job. And that includes everything that is done with the mind, which includes emotions. Now, granted, I do have that space for if somebody actually has brain damage or a physiological malady, stuff ain't gonna work right. I get that too. But I think I keep pushing for an awareness of, yeah, that people have a lot going on with their mind. And you people can become more aware of what's really going on with their own mind and perhaps change it. And I
And
think
you're
that's,
I also think like you're gunning for
and that's what I
uh
do with my mind. You see?
yeah. You go first for just take a look honestly, basically contemplate first. Like the first thing is if you have
Take a look.
something that you don't like, take a look yourself and see if you can just realize what it is and just
Yeah.
drop it.
Yeah.
Like
If
just
you
look
don't
into your
like
own
it,
experience.
yeah, yeah, look, yeah.
Go that
Like,
way. Go that way first, and then go to these other methods, which could, be as extreme as pharmaceuticals or whatever else way
yeah, or
down the line.
therapy or whatever you need to do to work with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
but
guess I
first
guess
check it
that's it.
out
It's
for
like,
yourself.
yeah, like I guess that at the core of my rantings at times, well, in this case is like, you have a lot more power as a human being than you think.
Hmm.
And it's right there. Why?
Hmm.
Because it's your experience. Because your experience is right there. It's like that's what we're working with. And it's
Yeah.
and it's and it's mind-blowing how complex it is, and it's mind-blowing how well it fucking works to make it look like, in this case, narrow focus, the cause of my emotions is out there. That's what it
Hmm.
looks like. But it's not really that way ultimately.
Hmm.
And it's hard to discover this stuff, but I think it's worth it.
It has been worth it for you in your own life,
Yes. It may or may not
and
be worth it to you.
but you've got a hunch that it is, or that it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's a
Definitely.
strong hunch, and it's
Strong.
backed up by the fact that a lot of other people feel the same way because they come to you and talk to you and want coaching and
Stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And so yeah, at the core there is some of that for sure. And I'm like taking myself out of the, well, taking my reactivity or my own antics out of the mix. It's like that.
Mm.
Hey, there's some stuff going on. Maybe there's a lot more going on than what you think. And let's discover that. So there's an invitation for you to discover if that's something you're interested in, of course. Yeah.
As we've been doing this and doing these podcasts, it's been kind of helping me clarify like the scope of practice of like contemplation and personal transformation facilitation, you could say.
Yeah. I mean
Uh,
that's just one area we focus on, sure. Yeah.
yeah, because I was wondering about that because there are, like if you do like scope of practice with massage therapy versus chiropractic, like massage therapy in the US is specifically not manipulating the bones,
Right.
whereas chiropractic is specifically not doing like too much soft tissue manipulation. It's like
Right.
it's the bones and so forth, and it's sort of like the work that you do. It's not addressing uh it's not addressing like scientific studies and like let's look at you know generalities across the picture. It's looking at the person in front of you and their ability to realize insights in their own experience
Yeah.
and to make changes
If
in
they
their own
want to make
experience.
changes, we
It,
don't
well,
yeah.
that's why they come to you, like, right? So
Usually, yeah, that's
the
in the
assumption is
background.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
But we don't do that. We don't change people. If they want to change, that's on them. That kind of thing.
but it rests on the possibility that people are actually powerful.
Yeah, that's
That they
one
have
thing.
personal empowerment, that they actually have the ability to become enlightened, to make changes in their life, to have
Yeah.
insight.
To have
If they didn't have
insights,
those
to have
possibilities,
skills, to great understanding of principles that kick ass, to
yeah, if you
and
don't have
more.
the ability to do that, then like there's no point. Just be a victim of your circumstances.
Yeah. The truth is, people do have that capacity. It just so
Mm,
happens that's the case.
yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to go somewhere else with the thoughts where we were, but I can't remember what it was that I wanted to go to.
Should we backtrack? Should we look back?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
We were talking.
last thing you said, yeah, go ahead. You probably got it better than I do.
I don't know. We were
Oh,
talking. We started we kicked this thing off with differences between men and women, or talking about all that, and
close. It's like I wanted to maybe clarify something about the work that we do. There was this thing about when people want, like people come in to do this work, like say consciousness work, and they want to get better. And a lot of I've been checking out this trend in a sense, and also talking about it with Peter, because he's working on this new workshop, the Transcending Life and Death workshop, and the dude's wild. I just went through it with him to help him give feedback so he can improve it before the spring retreat. If you want to check that out, go check out the spring retreat. It's a massively advanced workshop that people are going to have a very hard time and probably not grasp.
are people gonna die?
No.
What goes on in this workshop? Transcending life and death.
Yeah, we made some jokes about it actually. Like, yep, we got guns, we got some coffins put out back. I've got a big hole in the ground ready. So if you don't get the workshop,
You'll have an opportunity, a second
you'll have an
chance.
opportunity to experience it for real. No,
He's kidding, by the way, everyone.
Yeah, I am totally kidding. But it was this thing where people, as far as I can tell, spiritual teachers, by and large, may have some consciousness, but they get lost in making people better. When I go to Sadhguru's website, the dude's selling fucking charms that you can put in your room to improve the energy, to improve your spiritual whatever, as far as I can tell. When you talk to Eckhart Tolle, me and Eckhart Tolle, we should have a chat, by the way. What's his book about? Making people healthy. When you look at the mindfulness app, Headspace, when you go on there, it is all about mental health. Many spiritual teachers, as far as I can tell, go down those roads. They may have had some conscious breakthroughs, but then they get committed to making people have a better experience. And the ones that are very popular are all about improving somebody's experience.
As opposed to what?
We don't do that. As opposed to increasing consciousness or getting more conscious of what is going on, regardless of positive or negative experience.
Skill and consciousness.
Yeah. So like the skill part in the consciousness and skill is about what? Improving somebody's life. And we're clear about that. This will make you a more powerful person. Do this. Here's what's standing in your way. Get rid of that. Take a look at this. This will make a difference in what? In your life. Why is that good? Why pay me money to do that? Because it gives you a quote better life, or a better, more powerful, more positive experience. That is not getting conscious. That's going for a positive experience. And so I wanted to bring this to light as well, because if people really want to know what's true, it would behoove them to let go of positive and negative experience, or like, oh, I need to do this for the value I'm going to get out of it. Like, why would you even do something for value? It's to have a better experience. That's what value is all about. And so if people do really want to know what's true, going down roads of seeking a positive experience and avoiding a negative experience will endlessly trap them in that search, and they will be very hampered in their ability to actually discover what's true. And this is a very counterintuitive thing, but it's the way it is. So I wanted to throw that in the mix too, because I think I wanted to balance. You see, this is me in a sense facilitating, because I am aware of people watching and what they may think. And this push is to say, look, if you do want to get conscious, please consider this reality that almost, I'm going to go on a limb here and say almost every spiritual teacher or everybody that I'm seeing around in that space, that's what they're about. And I think that's what sets us apart and makes this almost incredibly hard to sell to anybody, because who the fuck would do that? The brave, the courageous, I don't know. The people that really want to fucking know will do that.
Yep.
Disclaimer. And back to making your life better. Go ahead.
And back to making your life better.
See, it's about, like, say, getting conscious. We might look into the nature of better and worse. What is worse? Like, what is worse? How does worse get created? What is better? How does better get created?
For me,
good
better
and bad.
for me.
Yeah. And what are you? See, just
that which survives, that which persists against its own.
Yeah, and then what's your nature?
Beyond that.
Yeah, somewhere else. We've got that one ashram out on Pluto.
Yeah.
That if you really want to get the truth, you actually have to go to Pluto, to the special ashram, and then, only then, because you've changed your location in physical 3D space, that will make a difference.
Also, the dust that is found on Pluto has special properties.
It does. You do a line of that, fucking nose. A nod to Craig Jones and the nose beers. Have you seen him?
No, but I want to now.
He's got these rash guards for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that's in the New Balance logo, and it's nose beers, which, you know.
Did you see him choke out Alex Jones?
Yeah, I saw that.
That was hilarious.
Funny. Yeah. And somebody called out the snort too. He's like, and the snort, and then he's like,
oh yeah.
What I do?
What I do?
What's going on? Fucking ridiculous. So anyway, where are we at here? So we've cleared up everything.
It's all done.
We good? Yeah, we finished it all. You're enlightened. You have endless amounts of skill, personal power, growth, all the stuff. Oh, I wanted to say, you remember didn't Peter at one point give you a hug?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah. Huh?
What?
Yeah, not
love.
So, yeah, I was like, love.
I think he tried everything else and he was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just give him a hug. John, you're fucked here.
Fuck it. Let me just give you a hug. No, I think he told me about that, and this is just from my memory, so who knows? But he's like, yeah, I just wanted to show him that's that it would like come out of left field for you.
Oh,
Like, I'll just give him a hug just to see, like, here you go. Try that one.
yeah. I was really scared of him a long time ago. I would be
Yeah, a lot of
scared to
people.
like stand up and ask questions and be
Yeah,
wrong and be put on the spot. And,
yeah,
it's vulnerable to to really confront um, the it's vulnerable to confront. It feels you're not really confronting Ralston, or I should speak for myself. I wasn't confronting Ralston. I was confronting myself, but I thought I was confronting Ralston.
yeah. Or like your idea of Ralston somehow
Yeah,
projected
but
on
in
there. It's like,
actuality, he was there supporting me the whole time.
yeah,
Yeah, helping
yeah,
me out. Um,
yeah. Cool.
yeah.
That's
So,
where. Yeah, he's got a lot of love for people. That it shows up not like love, but
well, it
why
does
do you think he
sometimes.
does the things he does?
What I read a comment. There was a comment that like the last comment I read on one of the previous podcasts was like, ditch the second voice, which I assume is mine,
Yeah,
and stop with the self-congratulating bullshit or something or other.
yeah,
And I think it was like the impression I got was like it was somebody who thought we were just blowing smoke up each other's asses. And
yeah. Probably. I don't know what
uh,
the. Yeah, go ahead. What was your thought?
I wanted more explanation. I wanted more like, please elaborate. In fact, I think I should go back to that comment and say, please elaborate.
Well, yeah, we could do that now. You're out there. You know who you are.
If you're watching, yeah,
You might be
maybe you
watching
are.
at this point.
Yeah, I wonder what that is about.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, you see,
Mm.
we've got speculation. Micah B or whatever your YouTube handle is, Mike something, whatever. You know who you are. Um, reveal yourself. Stand up. Tell us why you've got a problem. And it was the one we were talking about. You got to earn your chops.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, I'm thinking back, I was like, were we being very like, because I think we've had one or two videos where we were kind of confrontational
Yeah, we're gonna do shit like that.
and getting into an argument, but maybe that one
Oh,
was we were much more like, yep, maybe we were just more like, yep, we're just like in a line.
no, I think I've seen a I don't know. I don't fucking know. Dude, if you're out there, tell us what the fuck you were thinking cuz we don't know. Um uh Peter, I put out all of Ralston's content. I spent years recording it and Peter says things like every so often he'll say something about martial arts. And every so often somebody who does aikido will flip out because of what Peter said, because it goes against their idea of Aikido and what martial arts is and what martial arts should be and their fantasies. When their fantasies get confronted,
Mm,
they usually have an anger reaction.
mm,
You know, so I suspected something in that domain where we were candidly talking about, as far as we could tell, the reality of earning your way
mm,
and your opinion doesn't fucking matter
mm,
in certain domains. If you don't have the skills, your opinion doesn't mean shit. Now,
mm,
people who have done some shit, we know our opinions. Like, my opinion doesn't mean shit. When I go into a new thing, I know my opinion doesn't mean shit, and I'm okay with that. It's just a reality. If
mm,
I have a dumb opinion that does not apply to the circumstance, I'll own that. Somebody could tell me that's fucking stupid. Brendan, that was a dumb opinion. I'd be like, you're damn right it was. My job's to learn. Am I doing my job? If I'm not, I should be. I don't know. Young guys think they know everything. How do I know? Because I was a young guy.
and they pay more for their car insurance.
Yeah. Why do they pay more for their car insurance? Because you don't know how to fucking drive. You get in car accidents. Why? Because you're young and dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what did we solve this thing? What was your I feel like you had some stuff to say and you wanted to say it and then I went off.
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
So Micah B.
Now, I was just curious about what he meant by that, and if I was like, yeah, I was just
Oh,
reflecting, like,
yeah.
was I blowing smoke or something like that? But I don't know. I wasn't.
I
I
don't think
think
you
we
were.
both just had the thought that, yep, it's necessary to, you know, when you're doing something hard, you just have to do it until you have some expertise in the matter, and then you can speak about it.
Yeah, then you can have more of an opinion.
Yeah.
Or more of a valid opinion. I'm not saying there's not anomalies either. Maybe a young guy comes in and he's like, "Well, I've thought about it like this," and it's like serious. It's like, "Oh, good thought. I didn't think that thought. Cool."
Did you know, speaking of shit that we're not experts about, did you know that in Spain and southern France they fucking jump over bulls? They
I've
like do
seen that.
tumbling?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen. Okay, I've seen videos of that. Yeah, it's like non-violent bullfighting.
It's non-violent bullfighting. It's bull dodging.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I've seen some video.
wild.
There's actually a video there where a guy, the bull's coming, the guy goes and then does like a number 3 entrance. He moves and then spins and goes the other way.
Oh,
And
badass.
it's like, and I use that when I'm teaching martial arts. I'm like, look, see, number 3 in action right there. Boom. That
Yeah.
guy did it with a bull. Huh? It works.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, get out of the way.
That is the most effective martial arts defense, by the way, bar none, in striking.
Yeah, an impact.
Get out of the way. You don't need to block that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the bigger that your opponent is, the more important relative to you, the more important it is to dodge rather than block.
Yeah. Get out of the way because they'll
Yeah.
take your head off. I know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a change of topic.
Yeah. We just went. I don't know if I'll keep this in, but we'll see. Anyway, we good?
I am.
Good to end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching this episode.
Yes, thank you.
Catch you next time. If you want to check out, come to my website, navigate the website, come check out some workshops. They have nothing to do with what we talk. Well, actually, no. We do powerful shit. I'm just saying. You're invited to come check it out if you want. And we do lots of work. Bye.